The day everything left her, Ngozi was kneeling on the floor of her empty sitting room, holding only one broken piece of clay in her hand. It used to be a pot, the same pot that sat quietly in one corner when she was poor, the same pot that multiplied her little groundnuts when nobody knew her name, the same pot she pushed behind a flower vase the moment she started calling herself Madame Never Broke. Now the pot was dust, and the roof looked like something had escaped. The big house was almost empty, and for the first time since money found her, Ngozi whispered the words she once used to laugh at. Maybe poverty is not the real enemy. Maybe the real enemy was the voice inside me that refused to kneel. Outside, villagers were already gathering at the square. Some came to see drama, some came to see shame. So let me ask you, if sudden wealth entered your life tomorrow, would your mouth pass the exam your hands already passed? And if God sent a blessing with rules attached, would you keep those rules when people started clapping for you? Or would you use your story as a knife to cut other people's dignity? Because this is the story of a woman who became rich twice, once with money and another with wisdom. And only one of those riches refused to leave through the roof.
Before the mansion, before the shiny car, before the noisy generator and the proud gate, Ngozi lived in a single mud back room behind somebody else's compound in Okokomaiko. The roof leaked whenever rain fell like it had anger. The mat was thin like paper. The cooking pot was black with smoke and old struggle. Every morning, she woke up with the same question: what will we eat today? Some days the answer was garri and water. Some days it was air and tears. People in that area had a saying about her, that if bad luck was looking for a house to rent, it would choose Ngozi's life. And the worst part wasn't even the hunger alone. It was how hunger gave other people confidence to talk to you anyhow, as if poverty removed your right to respect. Ngozi tried. She sold roasted corn by the roadside. Rain beat it. The corn became soft and oggy. Nobody bought. She sold kunun drink. The sun turned it sour by afternoon. She threw it away. She tried small tailoring with a borrowed machine. The machine broke. Customers carried their cloth and never came back. After a while, it wasn't business that kept failing. It was hope. When she walked through the village, children laughed at her torn wrapper. Women whispered when she passed. Men shook their heads. That one, they said, she will never make it. Her star is sleeping. Sometimes Ngozi had them. Sometimes she pretended not to. But their words sat in her chest like stones. She had one thing she refused to lose: her younger brother, Chike. Chike was still small, the kind of boy whose knees were always with dust, the kind of boy who smiled even when hunger was around. But sometimes, when Ngozi thought he wasn't watching, she saw him staring at other children eating in front of their houses, quietly, like someone learning bitterness early. One afternoon, Ngozi went to borrow salt from a neighbor. The neighbor's daughter came out and looked at her up and down. "Auntie, our salt finished," the girl lied. Ngozi knew salt didn't finish. She had seen the mother cooking earlier. Ngozi forced a smile. "No problem, God bless you." She walked away with dignity, dragging behind her like a torn wrapper. That evening, Chike sat outside picking stones. "Sister, when I grow up, I will buy you a big house." Ngozi tried to laugh. "You will first buy your stomach a big food," she joked. Chike didn't laugh the way children laugh. He just nodded like a man. "I don't like when they laugh at you," he said. Ngozi looked away quickly, because if she stared at his face too long, she would cry again. That night, after feeding Chike watery soup and small swallow, Ngozi lay on the mat and stared at the darkness. "God," she whispered, "I am not lazy. Why does life hate me like this?" From the leaking roof, a drop of water fell, landed beside her head, and spread slowly, shaped like a small dark coin on the floor. She blinked it away. turned her face. Her pillow was wet more nights than it was dry. And that is the question you should hold. How do you stay soft when life is teaching you hardness? Because the thing that came to meet her on that bush road did not come to give her money. It came to find out what she would become after she had money. Every long story has a day when something finally snaps. For Ngozi, that day began with hope and ended with a kind of laughter that tastes like blood. Market day. She woke before the first cock crowed, had her bath with cold water that beat her skin awake, balanced a heavy tray of groundnuts on her head. She had borrowed the groundnuts from Mama Sade, the wholesaler. Mama Sade was the type of woman who spoke with her whole mouth. If she was smiling, everybody knew. If she was angry, even goats would avoid her compound. When Ngozi came to collect the goods, Mama Sade stared at her. Ngozi, don't disgrace me. I am not your husband. I don't owe you pity. Ngozi nodded quickly. Mama, I will sell. I will bring your money in the evening. I will add small gain. She arranged the groundnuts into neat cones. She called customers with her gentle voice. Morning passed. Afternoon strolled by. Evening started stretching. Not one buyer stopped. Flies bought more than human beings that day. A woman came close, looked at the groundnuts and walked away like it smelt. Ngozi wanted to ask, is groundnut not groundnut? But poverty teaches you to swallow questions. As the sun bent low, people began to leave. Ngozi was still there with almost her entire tray untouched. A group of village women passed, laughing loudly. One slowed down, looked at the tray and shook her head. Ngozi, even poverty is tired of following you. It has refused to buy anything from you today. They laughed. Not giggles, that deep laugh that enters into your bones. Ngozi packed the unsold groundnuts with shaking fingers. She did not go home. She did not know how to face Mama Sade. Instead, she walked. Past the last house, past farms, past the stream where children usually played. As she walked, the world began to feel off. Wind that had been noisy all day suddenly dropped. Faraway voices faded like somebody lowering a radio. She kept walking until the normal path ended and the old bush road began. The one people no longer used because they said spirits preferred quiet places. The sky was orange and purple. Birds were calling each other home. Ngozi dropped the tray beside a broken stump and finally allowed herself to cry. Not gentle tears, full body, full voice, chest-breaking cry. What did I do? Am I the first poor person? Why is life carrying me like this? Even poverty is ashamed of me. Her voice shook the leaves. Then the leaves went still. Not normal stillness, the kind that makes your skin tighten. Even the crickets stopped. As she cried, something strange happened. A single dry leaf, only one, fell from a tree that had no wind. It landed on her tray. When she brushed it away, she saw a coin underneath. A clean coin. But she had not dropped any coin. Ngozi stared at it confused. Then the bush voice answered, calm. Poverty is not ashamed of you, my daughter. People are. Stay with me, because what she's about to meet on this bush road is not human. And when it speaks, it will mention something that sounds like your own life.
Ngozi jumped. She wiped her face and looked around. On an old cement milestone by the path sat a woman. Her wrapper was faded blue. Her blouse was white but washed many times. Her head tie sat loosely. Habit, not fashion. Everything about her said ordinary, except her eyes. They were too sharp for someone that old. They looked like deep water at night, calm, bottomless. Her bare feet were clean. Her hands rested on a small clay pot. Ngozi swallowed. Good evening, Mama, she said. I did not know anybody was here. I will go. The woman shook her head. Sit, she said. Crying people should not walk alone in the bush. Their feet can make promises their mouth cannot keep. Ngozi didn't understand, but her legs were weak. She sat back down. The woman watched her quietly, then asked, How many things have you tried? Ngozi sighed. Everything, she replied. Selling food, farming, sewing, hawking. If it can be done with 2 hands, I have tried it. Nothing stays. The woman tilted her head. So, why are you still trying? Ngozi stared at the ground. Because I am not lazy, she whispered. Because my brother is looking at my face to eat. Because I don't want to die like this. A small smile touched the woman's lips. Good, she said. Your heart is still full. Ngozi laughed bitterly. Full of what? Shame? Hunger? The woman tapped the clay pot gently. Full enough, she said. I can help you. Ngozi snorted. Everybody says that. Then when it is time to help, their phone suddenly doesn't have network. The woman didn't laugh. She lifted the clay pot and placed it in front of Ngozi. Up close, it was simple. Brown, round, narrow mouth. Faint drawings traced around its body like old handwriting. This is not free, the woman said quietly. It comes with a price. Ngozi sat up. What price? The price is how you will behave when money finally hears your name. Ngozi frowned. I don't understand. The woman's eyes did not blink. Take this pot home. Put it where no one will step over it. Tomorrow morning, pour your groundnuts inside. Cover it and say only this. Let my labor be seen. Let my food find mouths. Then take them out and go to the market. Ngozi stared like she was watching someone describe a dream. And people will buy? The woman shrugged. People have always needed to buy. They just did not see you. Then she leaned forward, voice firm. But listen well, Ngozi. From today, how you treat people will decide how long your blessing will stay. If you mock those who helped you, insult those still struggling, refuse help when you can give it, if your mouth becomes louder than your heart, this pot will start to leak your blessing, 1 coin at a time. She paused, eyes like verdict. And it won't leak when you are watching. It will leak when you are proud. Ngozi held her breath. The woman pushed the pot closer. Will you carry it? Ngozi thought of Chike, Mama Sadi's anger, the women's laughter. Yes, she said, I will carry it. The woman nodded. Then go. Money is a visitor. Character is the house. If the house starts to smell, visitors don't stay long. Ngozi bent to lift the pot, looked away for 1 second. When she looked back, the milestone was empty. No footsteps, no fading rustle of cloth, just the small clay pot in her hands, still slightly warm, like somebody had just held it too long. So who was she? And why did the pot feel like it remembered touch? Ngozi carried the pot home like an egg. Chike met her at the door, whispering urgently, Sister, Mama Sadi came. She said if you don't bring her money today, she will collect our cooking pot. Ngozi's heart clenched. It will be well, she said, even though her voice was thin. That night, she did not light a lamp. She knelt on the floor, opened the clay pot, poured in the groundnuts, covered it and whispered, Let my labor be seen. Let my food find mouths. Morning came. She opened the pot. The groundnuts looked the same. No smoke, no fire, no new ones. Her heart dropped. Still, she carried them to the market, because when you are desperate, even foolish hope becomes wisdom. The first buyer came early. Sister, your groundnuts look fresh today. Give me 2 cups. Ngozi blinked. Before she could breathe, another person came. Add 1 cup. Then schoolboys came. Then a tailor. Then a young man who always passed her like she was air. By midday, the tray was almost empty. By evening, it was bare. Ngozi stood there, blinking like her life had changed, but her body had not caught up. She ran to Mama Sadik and paid her money immediately, and Mama Sadi's eyebrows lifted. So you sold? Mama Sadi asked suspiciously. Ngozi nodded. Mama Sadi sniffed. Maybe your star woke up small, she said, as if she was talking to a goat. That night, Ngozi knelt beside the pot and whispered, Thank you. The pot sighed, just once, softly, like a tired person settling into sleep. Ngozi's skin tightened, because that sigh didn't feel like clay. It felt like attention. Later that night, she woke suddenly, not because of dream, not because of mosquito, because the room felt watched. Her eyes went to the pot. On the pot's mouth, she noticed something that wasn't there before. A thin, wet ring, like breath touched clay. Not water, not oil, just a circle that looked like the pot had exhaled and remembered her name. Ngozi swallowed hard. "It's clay," she whispered. The ring faded, but the clay stayed warm, like a hand had just held it too long. She did not sleep quickly again.
For the next week, Ngozi repeated the same thing. Every night, goods inside pot. Every morning, the same words. Every day, sales that moved faster than before. She added fried plantain. It sold. Small gari bags. They sold. Smoked fish. That one moved like it had legs. Her name began to grow. "Go to Ngozi," people said. "Her goods are always fresh. Her measure is fair. Since I started buying from her, my house has peace." And at first, Ngozi's heart stayed soft. She shared food with hungry children. She helped an old man carry his basket. If she borrowed salt, she returned it with extra. But praise is sweet poison. One evening, a neighbor's wife came to greet her. "Ngozi, you are trying, God will continue." Ngozi smiled, shy. Then the woman added, "Not like some people that just like complaining." Ngozi laughed awkwardly. But inside, something shifted. Because the compliment didn't only make her happy, it made her feel above. For the first time, she didn't just feel lucky, she felt deserving. That night, as she opened the pot to put goods inside, she noticed the drawings on its body looked clearer, like someone traced them again. Her candle flame trembled. The pot gave a small sound. Tick. Not a crack. A tick. As if something had started counting. Ngozi sat back, heart beating. "It's just clay," she told herself, but her voice didn't convince her. Blessings rarely shout when they enter. They tiptoe. One year, groundnuts turned into a stall. The stall became a shop. From the shop, she opened another in the next town. Chike finished secondary school and started helping with accounts. He wrote their sales in an exercise book like it was scripture. One hot afternoon, a trader from Lagos stopped in front of her shop. He watched people enter and leave. "Madam," he said, "I like how you run this place. Come and supply small goods to my shop in Lagos. We'll both make money." Ngozi's heart jumped so hard she felt it in her throat. She prayed silently and agreed. The first supply nearly killed her with fear, but he paid, on time, with profit. Then the next supply did not go smoothly. A week after she sent goods, the Lagos trader stopped picking her calls. Ngozi's stomach began to shake. She imagined it. Her goods sold, her money swallowed, her name dragged in Lagos. Chike said, "Let's go there." But money was not small. Ngozi sat on the floor that night, counting the little cash she had left. Her fingers trembled. She looked at the clay pot. The pot was quiet. Then, softly, it made that small sound again. Not a crack, a sigh. Like it was asking her, will you panic and become wicked now, or will you remain patient? Ngozi swallowed the fear and went to sleep. 2 days later, the Lagos trader called. "Madam Ngozi, sorry, network, wahala, but you self, your goods finish fast. I'm sending your money now." Money entered, relief entered, but something else entered with it. A new belief in Ngozi's chest. "I can't go back," she whispered. "I must never go back." And that belief, if you don't watch it well, can become a god. One morning at the market, she arrived and saw people stand up to greet her. Not because she was elder, not because she was chief's daughter, because money had begun to wrap her name like cloth. A woman who once pretended not to see her smiled wide. "Auntie Ngozi, you are trying." Ngozi nodded, pretending humility. But inside, she enjoyed it. She enjoyed it like food after long hunger. That was the first time the pot reacted in a way that made her skin tighten. A faint sound came from the corner at home that night. Tick. Not loud, just one, as if something had started counting. The next morning, Ngozi noticed something new. A thin clay line around the pot's belly. Not a crack yet, just a hairline like someone drew it with a fingernail. And Ngozi didn't like it. She covered the pot with cloth and told herself, "It's old, that's all." But deep inside, fear whispered, "If a blessing can hear your voice, can it also grow tired of your voice?" It started small. Pride does not arrive with a drum. It slips in like smoke. After the wedding donation, when people shouted, "Madam never broke," Ngozi got home and did something she had never done before. She stood in front of her mirror and practiced a name. Madam never broke. She said it once, then again. Madam never broke. She smiled at herself. Then she corrected the smile, made it smaller, like a rich person. As she leaned close to admire her own face, the pot behind the flower vase gave a soft sound. Tick, tick. Ngozi froze. The room went cold for half a second. She laughed quickly to chase fear away. "Now pot," she muttered, "rest." But her voice was not steady. From that day, her words began to change. Not in big ways first, small ways. A poor neighbor greeted her one afternoon in a keke with 2 hands. "Good afternoon, Auntie Ngozi." Ngozi smiled, then said loudly, "You are still entering keke. Better find work and buy at least one small car. Poverty is for lazy people." The keke went quiet. The woman's smile died slowly. She turned her face to the window. Ngozi felt a small sting inside, not guilt, a strange satisfaction. That is how pride behaves. It enjoys the silence it creates. Another day, a small boy came to buy soap on credit. "My father has not been paid," he whispered. Before, that request would have softened Ngozi. Now she hissed. "This life doesn't respect complainers. Go and tell your father to hustle." The boy nodded, shame shining in his eyes. He left without the soap. That evening, the boy returned with his mother, eyes red from hunger. "Auntie Ngozi," the woman said softly, "even if na half soap, my child dey scratch." For a second, Ngozi's hand moved towards the shelf. Then she remembered wedding claps. She remembered the mirror. She remembered Madam never broke. Her heart closed like a gate. "Go," she said. "I no be NGO." As they left, the pot made a faint crack sound, very small, but sharp enough to enter the night. Chike noticed. "Sister, your tongue is getting sharp." Ngozi snapped. "When I was crying on mat, who cried with me? I suffered, I walked. Some people like blaming fate instead of walking." Chike's voice stayed soft. "Swimming is good, just don't splash sand in people's eyes." Ngozi pretended not to hear. That week, something scared heaven more than all of Ngozi's insults. Chike came back from town one evening wearing a borrowed shirt and new confidence. A small girl selling pure water bumped into him by mistake, splashing his trouser. "Use your eyes now. You think everybody is your mate?" The girl froze. Her lips trembled. For 1 second, Ngozi felt proud. "Hey, my brother has finally left suffering mentality," she thought. Then the girl whispered, "Sorry, sir. I have not eaten since morning." Chike looked her properly, saw the same hunger that used to live in his own eyes. His shoulders dropped. "Come," he said softly. "Take 2, no pay." He turned to Ngozi. "If I start talking like you," he said quietly, "remind me of who we were before money found us." Ngozi laughed it off, but the pot did not laugh. In the corner, it gave one dry, warning tick, like a teacher marking a red X beside a student's name. Because the next place Ngozi would open her mouth wide was inside church with microphone and a boy who would never forget her voice. Harvest Thanksgiving and Community Development Sunday. Church was full. Choir in white and green, big baskets of yam, rice, plantain, tomatoes lined up in front. Ngozi arrived late. She stepped out of her silver jeep in gold lace wrapper, so bright it almost competed with the sun. Whispers followed her inside. Madam Never Broke has arrived. After offering, the pastor announced, "Our health center is dying, roof leaking, beds broken, drugs few. Today we are begging our people, let us repair it." Names were called with donations. Then the pastor said, "We have testimony and request from our sister, the widow Adeze." Adeze stood up slowly with her son standing beside her. Adeze held the microphone with both hands. "When my husband died," she began, "I thought my life ended. My child fell sick. I had nothing. Some people shut their gate in my face, but God used strangers." She paused, voice trembling. "Today my son passed his exam. I want to send him to a better school so he can become somebody. I don't have plenty, but I'm giving 5,000 naira out of the money I saved for his books. I'm begging this church, please stand with us." The church went quiet. The pastor nodded, eyes shining. "God bless you. Who else will stand?" The MC rushed forward, smiling. "Before anybody, let us hear from our mother in this land, the woman God raised from groundnut to glory, Madam Never Broke." The church exploded. Ngozi stood slowly. Her heels clicked. She took the mic. She looked at Adeze, then at the boy. She smiled, but there was iron inside. "Brethren," she said, "you know me. You know where I started. I struggled. I cried. I walked. I did not sit down waiting for pity." Murmurs. "Today people see jeep, lace, shops, but they don't see nights I slept in the market." Then she lifted her chin. "So yes, I will give 200,000 naira for the health center." The church exploded again. People screamed, men whistled, choir clapped, but she wasn't done. She turned and looked at Adeze again. "And as for some of us who always want people to carry them," she said, "listen well. Life is hard for everybody. Some of us refuse to be poor. Poverty is for people that don't try. Stop using your story to beg. Use your energy to walk." Adeze's son's face tightened like he swallowed stones. His eyes filled fast. He tried to blink it away, but tears came. He wiped his face quickly, like crying was an offense, then stared at the floor the way hungry children stare at food they can't reach. The mic squealed, one sharp screech, and the entire church froze. Mama Chibundo stood up from the elders' row, slow like a verdict. "My daughter," she said softly, "we thank God for you. But remember, when money enters a proud heart, it doesn't always pass through the door. Sometimes it looks for the roof." Ngozi laughed into the mic. "Mama, with respect, advice does not buy zinc and mattress. Leave money talk to those of us that have seen it." She dropped the mic and sat down, and something in the church changed. Claps turned into tight-lipped smiles. Admiration turned into fear. Even heaven went quiet. After service, nobody crowded her the way they used to. People greeted her with their mouth only, not with their eyes. Adeze walked past with her son. The boy did not look up. And as Ngozi walked out, she heard one woman whisper to another, "Money don't enter her mouth, but it no enter her heart." Ngozi pretended not to hear, but her throat tightened. Because praise is sweet and silence is punishment. And this is where many people would ignore the warning and call it just motivation.
Pride doesn't fall in one day. It eats slowly like termites chewing table legs. The first sign was small. Ngozi opened her emergency drawer. A bundle that should be thick felt thinner. She shouted, "Who entered this room?" No one confessed. Housegirl swore, houseboy cried. Chike came from town. "It's only 10,000 naira missing," he said. "Maybe you used it and forgot." Ngozi shook her head. "I may forget my birthday," she snapped, "but I never forget money." That night, she climbed upstairs quietly and checked the ceiling. A thin line of clay dust had gathered near a beam, like something was scraping from inside. And she saw it. One crisp note pressed against the ceiling, stuck like a dead leaf, as if it tried to fly out and failed.
Ngozi's throat went tight. "What kind of money climbs roof?" she whispered. As she watched, the knot did something that removed sleep from her eyes for many days. It did not fall. It dragged itself just a little, as if an invisible hand was smoothing it flatter against the ceiling. Shh! Then stopped. The room was still. Only her heart moved. She changed hiding place, drawer to wardrobe to safe. Still, every few weeks, something small didn't add up. 5,000 naira missing here, 20,000 naira missing there. Never enough to scream robbery, always enough to disturb sleep. Customers began to complain. "Your price is high, others cheaper." Ngozi snapped. "If you cannot afford, go and buy somewhere else." Whispers began. Her eyes used to be soft. Now she looks like she is doing calculation inside her head when she looks at you. Her Lagos supplier called. "Madam, I will reduce goods small. The last batch stayed too long." Ngozi almost dropped the phone. "Do you know who you are talking to?" He apologized. Decision did not change. Ngozi decided to catch a thief. That night, she poured a thin line of flour near the safe. Not plenty, just enough to show footprints. She locked the door. She slept with one eye open. Morning came. She rushed out. The flour line was disturbed. Her heart jumped. Yes, footprints. But when she leaned closer, her throat went dry. The footprints did not walk away from the safe. They walked toward the wall, then stopped. And the last print wasn't a footprint. It was a smear, like the person became smoke mid-step. Ngozi's hands began to shake. She lifted her eyes slowly and saw the ceiling note again, pressed flat, waiting. Ngozi whispered, "So it's not a thief." That day, Ngozi did what rich people do when fear enters. She ran to the bank. She moved money from cash to account, everything. She told herself, "Let's see money climb roof inside bank." For 1 week, nothing happened. Ngozi laughed again. "So it was my house," she concluded, "not spiritual." Then her bank manager called. His voice was careful. "Madam, small debits keep happening. Consistent, like something is leaking." Ngozi's stomach dropped. She got home and checked her ceiling that night. No note. She exhaled. Then she turned to her wardrobe and saw something that made her knees weak. A single crisp note was stuck to the inside of her wardrobe door, as if money was now looking for any roof it could find. Ngozi whispered, "So it's not the house, it's me." She went to the pot behind the flower vase. The crack was now clear and deep, a line you could put a fingernail into. The pot gave one tired sound. Tick, 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 like a clock counting down. So tell me, if money starts leaving you by itself, who do you blame? If you think this is the worst it can get, you are wrong. Because tonight, when the knock comes to her door, Ngozi will finally discover whether it was ever really about money at all.
When riches want to leave, they knock politely first. Rain had stopped. Air was cold. Ngozi ended a call with her bank manager. Her head pounded. She walked into the sitting room and stared at the pot. The crack was ugly now. She touched it. Clay dust stained her fingers. Memories rose. Bush road, milestone, deep water eyes. If you mock those who helped you, this pot will leak your blessing. Ngozi's eyes burned. "But I didn't steal," she whispered. "I didn't kill. I just refused to be poor again." From upstairs, a single coin dropped. Then another. Slow, deliberate, like someone counting in a dark room. Ngozi's heart nearly jumped out. She ran upstairs. Everybody asleep. She came down shaking. Then she heard it again. Not upstairs this time. In the sitting room corner. Paper rustled, slowly, like fingers turning money. Ngozi turned on the light. Nothing. But the pot's crack looked wider than it was yesterday. And inside that crack, she heard a sound that was not sound, a soft breath and a whisper that didn't form words. Then, A soft knock came from the main door. Knock. Pause. Knock. Pause. Not loud, not urgent. The kind of knock that waits like it has time. And if you've ever heard a knock like that, you know it is not always a human being outside. So tell me, if your past came back to audit you tonight, would you open the door? Ngozi's mouth went dry. Who is there? She called. No answer. Knock, knock, knock. She opened the door. Standing under the weak corridor bulb was the old woman. Same wrapper, same blouse, same clean feet. Only her eyes looked deeper now, like they had seen more than one lifetime. Ngozi's knees nearly gave way. You, she breathed. The woman nodded. You called me. Your fear called. Your cracked blessing answered. She walked into the sitting room without waiting for invitation. Her eyes went straight to the pot. She touched the crack. Clay dust fell like sand. When a pot forgets the river it came from, she said softly, even the smallest crack can empty it. Ngozi collapsed to her knees. Then help me, she cried. I will change. I will help people. I will greet them again. Just please don't let me go back. The old woman's voice became iron. Poverty is not always laziness. Sometimes it is birthplace. Sometimes it is leaders. Sometimes it is life being wicked. But pride is always a choice. She pressed her palm on the pot. A web of cracks spread, thin white lines racing around the clay like lightning. This pot never created your wealth. It only measured your heart. When your heart was soft, your business grew. When your mouth became harder than your palm, leakage started. Ngozi's voice broke. So what happens now? The old woman stood. I did not come to kill you, she said. I came to reset you. She lifted the pot. Ngozi tried to grab her wrist. Her hand passed through like smoke. The woman raised the pot and let it fall. No explosion, just a deep, soft whoosh, like wind leaving a room. It sounded like a rich man's breath leaving his body. Lights flickered. Generator coughed and died. For a heartbeat, Ngozi saw something impossible. Thin streams of light rising from the broken pot dust, shooting up through the ceiling like reversed rain. Where the pot stood was pale dust. The old woman stepped toward the door. Let wisdom be your new wealth, she said. Spend it better than you spent this one. Then she vanished into the night, not with smoke or lightning, just one blink and she was gone.
By sunrise, the story had already left her house and started selling itself around the village for free. People had versions. Thieves wiped her accounts, her shop seized, her goods burned. Truth was quieter. Ngozi opened every hiding place. Bundles gone. Loans called her. Suppliers cut her off. Shops began to close. The bank took her jeep. The same week the bank took her jeep, Chike received a letter. He had been shortlisted for a small training in town, the kind that could change a young man's future. But the transport money was gone. The savings were gone. The mother and son name people trusted for business was now a warning. Chike folded the paper quietly and placed it under his mat. Next time, he said. But heaven knew the truth. Sometimes, next time does not come back. And the shame became physical. In the market, a woman she once insulted looked at her and said, Auntie, your change no complete. Ngozi counted again. It was complete. The woman smiled. Maybe money they leak through roof. People laughed. The same laughter Ngozi once poured on others. And Ngozi understood something bitter. Poverty hurts, but shame burns. She sold land to cover debts. Her big house was put on the market. On her last night there, as she lay on the big bed for the final time, rain started. In the dark, she heard it, the soft patter of water in a far corner of the ceiling, like coins dropping into an invisible pot above her head. She covered her ears. It didn't stop.
She moved into a small hut at the edge of the village. Mud walls, mat on floor, one pot for cooking, short bench outside. The first night there, she couldn't sleep. Not because of mosquitoes, because silence felt like judgment. In her mansion, generator noise used to hide her thoughts. In the hut, thoughts had nowhere to run. She remembered every insult she had spoken, and how sweet it felt at the time. She cried, not for money this time, but for her name. The next morning, Ngozi went to the village square and knelt in dust before elders. No lace, simple wrapper, bare head. Her voice shook. Fathers, mothers, when I was poor, you gave me rice, advice, salt, firewood. When I became rich, I let respect enter my head and leave my heart. I used my story to insult people still inside the darkness I escaped. Today, that darkness has knocked on my door again. Not because I did not work hard, but because my heart failed the test my hands passed. Silence. Some women folded arms. Some men looked away. A murmur rose. She should leave this village. When she had money, she forgot us. Now she wants to share her tears. The chief lifted his hand, but before he spoke, a voice from the crowd said, "Let her talk." Adaize stepped forward. The widow, the same woman she humiliated with a microphone. Adaize's son stood beside her, taller now, steadier. Adaize's eyes met Ngozi's. Chief, elders, I was one of the people she hurt the most. I cried that day in church. Her words followed me home like stones inside my wrapper. Ngozi bowed deeper. Adaize continued, "But if we do to her what she did to us, then we have learned nothing. When I was hungry, some people closed their gates, some didn't. Today, it is her turn to be hungry. Let us not be the same darkness we say we hate." She softened. "If she needs a small place to start again, my door is open." As she spoke, an old woman carrying firewood passed behind the crowd, walking slowly. Only Adaize saw her clearly. Her eyes were deep like water at night. For a second, it felt like she nodded. Then she was gone, swallowed by the people. Adaize did not understand it fully, but something in her spirit knew. This is my own pot. This is my own test. The square went still. Nobody expected mercy from the wounded. Mama Chibondu stood. "You see," she said, "wealth is a big exam. Some fail by arrogance, some fail by bitterness. Today, this widow passed her own test." The chief nodded. "We will not banish her," he said. "Let her prove with her life that she has learnt. We will watch. We will not mock, but we will remember." The crowd scattered slowly. No applause, no celebration. Just a quiet agreement that a new exam had begun. The first month in the hut was the longest. Ngozi woke before dawn, swept her compound, carried bucket to stream. No house girl, no driver. Hands remembered how to work. She returned to market with small tray, vegetables, smoked fish. No miracle pot, no secret phrase. Just humility and labor. Some days she sold well, some days she didn't. And here was the hardest part. Even when she sold well, she didn't feel proud, because she now understood what pride cost. One afternoon, a man from town came with gossip and an offer. He sat beside her stall and leaned in. "Ngozi, I fit help you. Just speak for meeting. Use your mouth again. Make them fear you. Once fear returns, money returns." Ngozi stared at him. Old Ngozi would have smiled. New Ngozi looked at the ground for a long time, then shook her head. "No," she said quietly. "I have insulted enough people for one lifetime." The man hissed. "Then suffer," he spat, and walked away. Ngozi breathed out like someone refusing a spirit offer. That night, she sat outside her hut, listening to insects. She whispered into darkness, "If you are still watching, watch me well." A small wind passed. Dust on the ground swirled and settled in a thin circle, about the size of the old clay pot's mouth. Ngozi saw it, smiled through tears. "I hear you," she murmured. At first, people avoided her. They didn't know how to look at her. Was she still Madame Neverbrook, or just that fallen woman? Ngozi didn't disturb them to answer. She greeted everyone. "Good morning. Well done. How are your children?" Sometimes they answered, sometimes they ignored. If she had leftover food, she looked around. If she saw an old person sitting alone, she carried a small plate. "Take," she said, "I cook too much." Sometimes they accepted, sometimes they refused. Ngozi didn't complain. She knew forgiveness is a process, not a button. One evening, Adaeze called her. "Ngozi, come and sit." They sat on a low bench. Adaeze handed her a bowl. "My son sent money. I bought extra gari. Take." Ngozi's eyes filled. "I don't deserve this," she whispered. Adaeze shrugged. "None of us deserves all the mercy we get. That is why it is called mercy." Weeks turned to months. News began to change. She has humbled. She is not shouting again. I saw her carry water for Mama Chibundu. She helped repair youth center even though she didn't have plenty. Respect returned. Not the loud clapping type, the quiet kind that nods when you pass. Years passed. Ngozi's hair turned gray at the edges. Her hands remained strong. She never owned a mansion again, never drove a jeep again, but something else multiplied. She became the person people knocked on when they needed advice, not money advice, heart advice. One evening, children gathered under a mango tree near her hut. Sun was going down, sky was gold. They sat in a circle. "Mama Ngozi," one girl asked, "is it true you used to be very rich? My grandfather said they once called you Madame Neverbrook." Children giggled. They had only ever seen her with small tray and big smile. Ngozi smiled. "Your grandfather is right," she said. "Once I was rich in a way that made my shadow proud. I had plenty money and small sense. Today I am also rich. My house is small, but my sense is wiser." The smallest child frowned. "How can you be rich when you don't have big car?" she asked. Ngozi laughed softly. "Every time you use what you have, your time, your hands, your voice, to wipe shame from someone's face, you are saving money in a bank that does not burn." The oldest boy asked, "So, poverty is not for lazy people?" Ngozi's face grew serious. She shook her head. "No, poverty is not always laziness. Sometimes it is where you were born. Sometimes it is leaders. Sometimes it is life being wicked. But staying blind when life is teaching you, that one is laziness. Pride is also laziness, refusing to bend when wisdom is talking." The youngest girl tilted her head. "So, are you afraid of being poor again?" Ngozi smiled, full face, full heart. "No," she said, "because I know how to work. I know how to say sorry when I am wrong. I know how to greet people properly, whether they have money or not. Those things, they do not finish." And as you are listening to this, ask yourself quietly, if money enters my life tomorrow, will it meet a soft heart or a sharp tongue? Whenever people gather to talk about money, someone would always end the conversation with, "Remember Ngozi, she was rich twice, once with money and once with wisdom. And the second wealth did not escape through the roof." Because money can enter a house like a visitor, but character is what locks the roof.